Wow, I cannot believe I got to interview this girl, Audra. Audra helped me in 2016. She helped me get my period back. Her channel, her podcast, her programs, so amazing. She helps people with a plant-based approach, and she's so relatable, grounded, balanced, and just someone that I feel comfortable like talking with. This was such a great interview. You definitely have to listen to the whole thing, hear her story, hear her mindset, brilliance when it comes to affirmations and everything. You got to listen through to this entire thing. Audra, aka This Girl Audra, on Instagram, YouTube, and her podcast is all about helping you effortlessly reach a healthy weight, fix your hormones, and get you feeling sexy and confident again. To the girl or woman who spent countless hours trying to figure out how to reach their ideal weight, find a healthy relationship with exercise, and or get your hormones back on track, whether it's from irregular periods, missing periods, PCOS, endometriosis, fibroids, painful periods, low sex drive, or other hormonal issue. This is her specialty. She's a certified plant-based nutritionist, a certified personal trainer, and a certified weight loss and behavior change specialist who's helped thousands of clients, including myself, reach their ideal weight effortlessly, eating tons of amazing food with very little exercise, get their hormonal situation worked out, grow in their confidence and sexiness, and get overall balanced out. And without further ado, let's dive into this interview. You're such an expert. You helped me get my period back in 2016. And I know that was with hypothalamic amenorrhea, but then listening to your podcast and over the years helping people with PCOS and different mindset things too.
Yeah, so like I was saying a second ago, I work with people like women specifically from all different backgrounds, whether it's weight loss or hormonal imbalances or being underweight and wanting to gain weight to a healthy weight so you can get your period back, that sort of thing. So with each of those different groups of people, there come different challenges, right? So if you have the people with weight loss, their challenges are going to be pretty much the opposite of the people wanting to get their period back, right? So for someone with weight loss, their challenges are going to be, I don't know what to eat. I've tried every diet in the world. I don't even know where to start. I think I'm eating healthy most of the time, but it seems like my weight just keeps going up and up and up. I need someone to help me like figure out how to put meals together so I'm satisfied. Or maybe they consider themselves emotional eaters, which really what I find is that they're not emotional eaters. They just aren't getting fully satisfied off their meals. So I will help them create their meals and foods that they like to eat, that sort of thing. So that's, and their other challenges are like, they're kind of down on themselves because they've tried everything and nothing has ever really worked long-term. And so they're kind of like at their end of the ropes and just being like, screw it. What's the point? Like, I'll just be overweight forever. Right.
Yeah.
So kind of working on their mindset and being like, no, you can do this. Like, you get to choose your identity. So I work on a lot of mindset stuff. For the other group of people over here who like where you were coming from, who have lost their period, maybe due to overexercise or not eating enough or whatever. The challenges that they typically face is that they are trying to do everything and they're trying to be perfect. They're trying to control everything. They have heard of every single diet out there and they are like so confused over, oh my gosh, which one do I do? And they like have like analysis paralysis where they don't do really anything. They just kind of stay in their little shell and they do what's comfortable for them. So that might be skipping meals or only eating these sorts of foods or only allowing themselves to eat at certain times or having to burn X amount of calories or only being able to eat X amount of calories. So they're very, very controlling. Like that's kind of the common theme with them. So what I do with that group of people is say, look, these weight loss people, we need to kind of tighten the reins a little bit. You've been living on the edge for however long, but you guys over here, we really need to loosen up. Like you are just stress walking. And so I want you to just chill, relax a little bit, realize you don't have to try to be perfect. And there's a lot of like background mental stuff that's going on behind the scenes, whether it's, kind of begging the question of, well, why did this happen in the first place? Like, why am I so crazy over this in the first place? And so kind of digging into that, working through that. I'm not like your therapist or anything, but I do kind of help you see areas in your life where like, oh, okay. Like, so I have this issue with food or with my body because maybe my parents got a divorce, or maybe I went through something traumatic when I was younger, or whatever. Like everybody has a different reason, right? So kind of working, with both groups. And the main goal for everybody that I work with is, whether you're on this side or this side, is to get you in the middle, to where
that
you're,
balance. Like, what do
yeah,
you define that balance? That's beautiful.
exactly. Yeah. Like, where you're at a healthy weight for your body, you're getting healthy, good hormones. Your hormones are healthy and balanced. You're not having crazy painful periods. You're not missing periods.
Yeah.
You got your PCOS under control, or, whatever it is. So it's taking both of these and putting it, like, getting them in the middle to where they're balanced.
Totally. Yeah, I love that you're able to target both audiences, because it just seems to me like they're both after the same goal. Everybody wants balance, everyone wants to be healthy and free.
Yeah.
So it makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Well, and I was going to say too, I feel like on social media, it's like, there's like all these wars about intuitive eating, or you shouldn't be preaching weight loss, just be happy in your body, or, how come everybody's wanting to gain weight all of a sudden, like all these different things. And it's like, it can be kind of hard to navigate, like trying to explain to people, look, like, I don't really care about all of that. What I care about is you as an individual becoming your most healthiest, like the healthiest, balanced part of yourself,
Yeah. And that's
so,
okay if that looks like, tightening the reins and having some health promoting behaviors, and maybe that looks like weight loss. Yeah, maybe that looks like weight gain. But I feel you. It seems like, sometimes it feels like you need to pick a side. It's like, are you crazy, like health at every size, eat whatever you want, whenever you want, or are you like, what I mean? Like, no, you can walk the middle and just feel what's most empowering. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And I guess I see too that because of social media, everybody's comparing themselves with everybody else, and what diet they're doing and how they look and what blah, blah, blah. But my biggest focus is on you focusing on yourself. Like, what do you need to do to feel your best, to look your best, to be your healthiest? Don't worry about what everybody else is doing. If she needs to lose weight, if she wants to lose weight, let her do that. That might not be what you need to do. Just because she's doing it doesn't mean the whole world has to do it,
And that's why I'm so beyond grateful for you, because I felt like, social media, things that I would read, and I am a dietitian, and it seems to me like, when it comes to hormone balance, and I did get a PCOS diagnosis, it was like, all right, you got to nix the carbs, like you got to, and that's what a lot of research and people say. And trying that, it just like, I was depressed, like zero energy, absolute, just tanked.
Right.
And I'm just mind blown that you're saying, you got to do what's best for you. You got to do what's best with what feels best for your body, what's actually sustainable for you. And I'm just so excited that you've been able to not only bring these two together, but when it comes to plant-based nutrition and fitness, a long time, a lot of people, I feel like, think those two aren't possible. Like, can you be plant-based and like be that fit? And so I'm super grateful for you. And if you have any like even tips around plant-based hormone balance and navigating healthy cycles and a healthy weight while actually as a personal trainer gaining muscle, getting stronger, being able to balance that.
So I mean, I think it all starts with what is your starting point, right? Like, are you needing to lose weight first? Are you fine with where you are and you just want to gain a little bit of muscle, or are you really underweight and then you need to gain some healthy weight, gain muscle, eat more calories, that kind of thing. So that's step number one, is figuring out the individual starting point. And then, based off of that, then we can kind of create a plan to where it's like, okay, first of all, let me try to rewind for a second. One thing that's very important to remember about it is that everybody is coming from a different background. And so they're going to need to work through different things mentally as well. So for example, for the girls who are wanting to get their period back or whatever, and they want to, at the same time, they want to be super fit. I try to explain to them and like take them through whenever, like if they're doing one of my ebooks or my courses or my coaching or whatever, I'm like, look, I know that you want to just snap your fingers and you want to be normal and have your period and like be fit and healthy and all that right now. Like you want to, and not only, obviously you're not going to be that right now, but you want to act like that. Like you want to have those same habits that your best friend who's never had an eating disorder has. Well, the problem is that you're going to have to go through some time to realize that your body is going to have to change into that and your mindset's going to have to change. So I guess what I'm saying is a lot of girls will come to me and they'll be like, I just want to eat normally. Like I want to just, I'm tired of binging. I'm tired of having extreme hunger. I'm tired of whatever. How come I have to eat so much more now? I feel really weird in front of my friends. I'm eating twice as much as they are. Or I still want to work out and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, here's the thing. Because you did all of these things in the past, meaning you didn't give your body enough calories or enough rest, or you burned off all those calories or whatever. Now it's going to be different for you now. Like you kind of have to go from one extreme of under eating, whatever. And I don't want to say it's a whole extreme of like overeating, but you're going to have to eat way more calories. Yeah, it will definitely seem like it for sure.
Right.
But you have to remember back here at this point in your life, your body never got like tens of thousands of hundreds of thousands of calories, right? Or they were either burned off, depending on how long you did this for. Right. So now that you're like, okay, I want to get better. I want to feel better. I want to get my hormones back on track. All of those calories that you never got, your body doesn't forget about that. Like your body is like, I need these calories. So now you're going to be doubling all of your food and you're going to be resting more so you don't burn off the calories that you eat. So
I loved in your ebook, you mentioned that there was a study, the starvation experiment study.
Yeah.
And like, people who are starving, it's actually so much more like long term. They're going to have so much more trouble and need to gain that weight back to actually normalize and have that the effect of the binging.
That was the Minnesota starvation experiment. That's like that's a crazy experiment. And it's the reason why I put that in the ebook was to just show girls like, look, they literally, and they called it starvation, but it really wasn't even that bad. Like they were still eating like 1,500 calories. Granted, these are like grown men, but in the ebook, as I explain, I'm like, look, imagine what you've been doing though, because all they were doing was eating like 1,500 calories and they were walking like 3 miles a day. And then the result of that for them was like, they were like skin and bones. All they did was think about food. They lost their sex drive. They were like, everything was just about food, right? And then they ended up gaining all the weight back later on because they couldn't control their hunger. Well, so in the ebook, like you said, I explained like, look, imagine what you've been doing, and this was only like a 6-month experiment. Most girls aren't doing this for 6 months. They're doing this for years and years. They're eating far less than 1,500 calories. It's like 500, 800, 1,000, and they're like running for miles and miles on end. So it's like, imagine all of that trauma to your body. And then now you just want to be normal. And it's like, your body is like, no, you have to give it time to heal, So
wow. Well, honestly, like that was so beautiful for you to describe, because I feel like a lot of people can relate to this idea of like, I just want to be normal. Like, can't I just like work out and eat these salads and be healthy and fit? And like, especially at least for me, I really would love to hear your story and like where you fall as far as like you being your own coach now and thinking about this. But I can't believe that I remember when I first hired you, it was after years of being afraid of the freshman 15 and being plant-based, and just like I didn't realize that I was really under eating that badly. It was just like being mindful to eat less, like, you know what I mean? So sometimes it's not necessarily this like active, okay, I'm restricting. Maybe it's not super, but realizing that, if you're going to be active, you do need to eat more food. And I feel like as a woman, at least personally, I had trouble wrapping my head around that. I was like just thinking that I could get by just eating little portions, like how they say like, oh, a portion of oatmeal is like, a half a cup a day, or like little things like that. I would beat myself up about wanting more food. So it's interesting.
Yeah, I say this a lot on my podcast, especially talking about exercise and exercise addiction for women, especially. I feel like women just are far more addicted to exercise than men are. Like they just like do it and they're like done, and that's a generalization because I know some guys are too, but women are like hardcore, and they're like, I'm going to do my boot camp class and then I'm going to do hot yoga and then I'm going to go run and then I'm going to lift weights and I'm going to do HIIT. And it's like, that's like in one day, and one thing I always say is if you're going to be training like an athlete, you have to eat like an athlete. And most, I would say like 99% of women do not do that, especially just in everyday. Like they're just following all these programs that they find, and they're trying to do it all and they're hardly eating. And not only are they experiencing like really imbalanced hormones, but they're wondering like, okay, I'm working out so hard. Like I am kicking my butt every single day and I'm not losing any weight. If anything, I feel like I'm gaining weight. Like I'm getting puffier. I'm tired all the time. I'm moody all the time. All I do is think about food. And I feel like I'm like getting fatter almost, And so that's one thing that I teach is like, you don't have to be doing near the amount of exercise that you think that you do to be in shape. In fact, for every single woman that I work with, I do not prescribe any type of cardio at all. Like that's just my big thing. I'm like, I wouldn't say I'm anti-cardio, but I'm anti-cardio in the way that most women do it today. If you want to go for a jog a couple of times a week just to like get some fresh air and kind of sweat a little bit, that's one thing. But let's be real, like most women are not doing that, so my thing is more about walking and weightlifting and then finding something else that you enjoy doing. Like for me, I love to play tennis. So I'll go play tennis a few times a week. But this idea of like having this scheduled out to where you're doing boot camp at 4 a.m. and then at 9 a.m. you're just going to get burnt out and it's unsustainable. You can't do it long term. Your body's going to hate you. You're going to be hungry. You're going to be puffy. So
Yeah. This
yeah.
puffiness that you're talking about, experienced myself, and it's just this stress response too. This like, wait, I'm working out so much and I'm so bloated and I'm so right. Like your body's like, hello, excuse me, this is definitely not the environment that I can thrive in. And how beautiful it feels like after working with you and after like, I mean, I never got the opportunity to actually work with you one-on-one, unfortunately, but you did send me a video and you made me feel so much relief. Like this was years ago. I don't even know if you offered.
No,
like,
I do remember this. I remember this. Yeah.
I can't believe like just allowing myself to eat the carbs, like eat whatever I want, whenever I want. And to be honest, like I did go super overboard with it, but I feel like it was all part of my journey and I needed to do that. And just like my body, the puffiness, like that really was such a stress, like crazy response that your body's just trying to do whatever it can. And
well, you brought up a good point about like having the permission to like eat carbs. Like we'll just take that for an example, right? So, anytime I work with someone and I tell them like I did you, look, I want you to eat a lot of carbs. And, these are the ones that you can focus on, or really you can eat whatever you want. What most girls find that they do is that they do go overboard for a little while, because if you think about it, I mean, your body has not only been deprived of, calories or carbohydrates or nutrients for so long, but also like mentally, you've been like I cannot have bread or potatoes or fruit or whatever it is. And so it's kind of like this like release that you get when you're just like, oh my God, thank you. I can finally eat a freaking banana. Like this feels good. So instead of one banana, I'm going to eat like 10, right? Like I just got to eat all the bananas. Well, what happens is like over time, I know that's freaky at first because you're like, I don't know that I can do that every day the rest of my life. But as time goes on, your body's like, hey, like, I think we've had enough bananas now. Like maybe one or two is fine. Or we've had enough cookies, a lot of girls binge on the cookies. And it's like, then you get to a point when your body kind of balances and gets in the middle, like we were talking about, to where you're like fine with like a cookie, or you're fine with whatever, it's not like every day is just gonna be a binge. Like that's not what happens,
And it took me a while to wrap my head around that. And that's a scary place to be in, right? Like if like when you were so, at least personally, when I was so controlling about my physique and about like this fear, and then all of a sudden having it swing the other way, it's like, oh my gosh, am I ever going to find balance, right? And
Mhm.
that's like, I think a lot of women's biggest fear probably when it comes to getting their
Mhm.
periods back. But that's like so necessary, really recognizing that when you are just eating healthily and listening to your intuition, and it's inevitable that like if you're really taking your care of yourself from the inside out, that you're gonna find balance. You're not
Mhm.
just gonna be this like unhealthy. Yeah. And I'm curious to hear your story. Like, did you struggle with this? Like, how did you get passionate about this and become an expert
Yeah.
on this?
Yeah. So, I mean, my story is kind of all over the place. I mean, I went on my first diet when I was like 16. I didn't need to lose any weight at all, but my friends and I decided to go on a diet for spring break. And so the coolest diet at this time was like the low carb Atkins diet. And so I did this for like a month. I lost like 5 pounds. I didn't even really look any different, but I didn't understand the way that calories worked. I didn't understand the way that, especially a low carbohydrate diet worked. So when we got to spring break, we were all like, okay, well, we're on spring break. Like, why do a diet now? So of course we're like going out to eat and we're eating ice cream and all this stuff. And when you're on a low carb diet, you initially just lose water weight, like because you release all of that from your glycogen stores. So as I'm starting to eat all these carbs, I'm starting to gain weight, and I'm like, what the heck's going on? And so I gain all of the weight that I lost back, and I was like, well, that's stupid. But I didn't understand, like, when you're on a diet, you don't just stop a diet or you're going to gain all your weight back. So anyways, long story short, after I got back, I found a trainer who introduced me to cheat days and was like, look, just do your low carb diet all week. And then on the weekend, you have a cheat day and blah, blah, blah. Well, that didn't really work for me because I'm like starving all week. And then on the weekends, I turned it into like a cheat weekend. So it was like, oh my God, I have a free for all, like I can do whatever. Well, over the course of about a year, I did this where I was barely eating during the week and then just basically binging on the weekends because I was starving. And I, again, didn't understand calories, didn't understand nutrition, and I slowly gained weight. I literally gained 75 pounds doing this. Yes, this was
Wow.
awful. And I was on a diet, and it was
That
like,
must have been so frustrating.
yeah, well, and again, like, so I'm 30, almost 35 right now. So this was, 20 years ago. There was no Instagram or like online coaches or YouTube videos to look up or really anything. Like I barely even had the internet. Like AOL was the thing. So I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm listening to this trainer. She's knowledgeable. So anyways, I gained that weight. And then that's when I got serious about like, what the heck is happening? So I really started diving into nutrition, blah, blah, blah. Ended up losing the weight. And then over the years, so again, that's like 20 years ago, right? So over the years, I like started trying different things. Like, there was the paleo diet, there was the keto diet, there's a plant-based diet, there's raw food, there's all these different things. And I really got into exercising a lot, and running was my big thing, like long distance running. So at one point in my life, I coupled the paleo diet with running, and that was a disaster for my hormones because I wasn't eating a lot of carbs. And that's when I lost my period. And so through that, I was like, okay, like at first I thought it was cool because like who wants to have a period, but then as I started kind of looking further into it, it was like, no, you need a period. It's very important for your bone health, for your future hormones, all of that. So I went through that whole thing and figured out how to get it back naturally. And then yeah, so then this is all kind of jumbled together, but I got my period back. And so from that point, I had already learned about different diets and hormones and all this research that I had done. I basically like spent a whole year meeting with doctors and holistic nutritionists and getting certified and all this kind of stuff. And so I started helping people online, and that's when kind of like my ebooks were born and my coaching was born. And now it's just kind of like blossomed into programs and that kind of stuff. So yeah, so I've experienced it, and I know that it sucks, but I know that there is an easier way. And eating a plant-based diet can be so enjoyable, and as long as you're eating enough,
Right.
I think that's a misconception. People think you just eat salad, but you don't have to. This is why I made a cookbook and stuff, to show you can eat a lot of really good tasty food. It's not magical food, it still has calories, but I'll help you put it together in the right way. And yeah, there's no need to over exercise, and just it shouldn't be that hard, basically. So yeah.
Right. Wow, you've really been through it. Yeah, no wonder you're such a good coach. Like it's like, oh, having that experience. And I'm just curious to hear from this point in your life, like what's that mindset coaching and just coaching in general that you have now that you would have given to your younger self? Like I'm sure that you
Yeah.
went through those mindset hurdles too of like, oh, is this really okay? Like, you know?
Mhm. Yeah. So one thing that I really focus on now is like affirmations. That's a big, big thing that I talk about a lot on my Instagram page and also my podcast, because we don't realize until you're like actually like cognizant of what you're thinking and what you're saying to yourself, you don't know that whatever you're saying to yourself all day long is basically creating your reality, right? And if you keep saying these things over and over again, they form like emotions. And so you get emotional about something, whether that's happy or sad or angry or whatever. And then that causes you to perform an action. And then that action basically just leads to the outliving of your life, right? So if you can become aware of your thoughts and be like, okay, well, every morning I wake up, I look in the mirror and I say, I'm fat. What's the point? I might as well just eat whatever. I hate exercising, blah, blah, blah. Well, because you thought that, because you felt that way, then you're going to start acting like that. And then that is why you are the way that you are right now. But when you become aware of that, you can start forming affirmations of being like, hey, you know what? I actually appreciate my body today. And I enjoy eating healthy food. I enjoy moving my body in enjoyable ways. Then that's going to cause an emotion. And that's going to cause an action for you to go in the kitchen instead of eating, you know, like McMuffin or whatever from McDonald's. You're going to go and make a bowl of oatmeal. And then instead of just sitting on the couch, you're going to go out and go for a walk, you know? And so these just start like compounding. And so it all starts with your mind. So I would say that's the big thing that I focus on mostly is affirmations, you know, and talking and acting as if you are the person that you already want to be. I think that's very, very powerful for sure.
100%. Yeah, after working with you, affirmations were everything for me. Like I would write down every day, like I am beautiful no matter what, like things like that, just like
Mm-hmm.
really, really relentlessly. Oh, that's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, thank you so much. Well, could you just briefly describe the different programs that you offer?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So my big program that I have, it's called my Balance Babes program. It's more for people who are wanting to lose weight or maintain weight in a healthy way. So it's based off of, you know, I'll teach you exactly the foods to eat, how to put your meals together. We'll talk about exercise, about balancing your hormones, also about stress management, and feminine energy is another big topic that I talk about. But it's a program where basically it's a do-it-yourself type thing. So you'll just go through and listen to different audios, watch videos, have reading, and it's all broken down. It's literally like at this point it's like 20 hours of information. So it's like everything you could possibly want, it's all there. Like I teach you everything. And then I have other things like I have a dining out guide where it's like a mini course. I have my Audra diet cookbook where I show you how to make different recipes. There's also options for one-on-one coaching with me, depending on your situation. I have my Get Your Period handbook, which is a big thing for, you know, girls wanting to get their period back.
That saved my life.
Yeah. Which, by the way, I've kind of hinted at this, but not really. But I'm going to be doing some mini courses on hormones and basically making a whole course on how to get your period back. So that's one to be on the lookout for. But yeah, so those are the different things that that I offer. I'm on Instagram at This Girl Audra. I have my podcast, This Girl Audra. My website is www.thisgirlaudra.com. You can email me at thisgirlaudra@gmail.com. So if you just type in This Girl Audra, then you'll find me kind of everywhere. So yeah.
Yes. Wow. Oh, thank you so much. I'm so beyond grateful that you were able to use your experience to
Mm-hmm.
help others and share and create these programs. It's honestly, yeah, obviously it helped me a lot. You provide me so much peace of mind, and your podcast is amazing. You know, you put out so much free content. I remember finding you on YouTube, like this woman gets it, like she gets me, and like, yeah, you were saving grace for me. So
Oh, well,
we're so
good.
grateful. Is there
You're so welcome.
any final thoughts or words that you might want to add or
No, I mean, I think just probably like kind of we were talking a minute ago about the mindset thing. I'll just leave that with people of just realize that whatever you think about yourself, like that little voice that we all have in our head saying, I am this, I am that. Anytime that you use that phrase, you are affirming something about yourself, about your life. And whatever you say to other people or whatever you type, if you're typing someone a text and saying, I am this, or you're saying it to your friend, I am that, just be very, very aware of that, because your words are so powerful and your body is literally like listening to you. So it's going to follow suit. Like your subconscious is going to follow suit. So if you can get that under control and start really focusing on saying, like, what do you want to be? What do you really want to be? Start saying, I am those things now, and start acting like that now. And then you'll magically, it really is kind of magical, but you will start to become that person that you want to be. But you can't become that person if you keep saying that you're something else. So
Yes,
yeah.
I am healthy and fit and vegan and I get my period every month.
Exactly. That's a big one I tell girls. I'm like, you have to tell your body, I'm getting my period every month. Like it's coming. I
Yes.
know it's going to come. Yeah. So
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
yeah, you're welcome.